I think that's part of why I lived the way I lived too, is because both of my parents passed so early.
Yeah.
Like my dad died when he was 52 or 53, and my mom died when she was 60.
Yeah.
So like neither of them, had they worked a traditional job, which they didn't.
Yeah.
But if they worked a traditional job, neither of them would have made it to retirement age.
Right.
So say they invest in their 401k, do all the right things, and they died at the same age they died, they would have never reaped any of the benefits. Now, my dad had a great time. I mean, he lived exactly how he wanted to live,
Right.
which is probably why, you know, he ended up how he ended up. But that is always in the back of my mind. It's like, all right, well, you know, when you go to the doctor, they ask you about your parents, and there's a reason for that. I'm not saying I think I'm going to die early. I'm doing the right things.
Absolutely.
You know, keeping myself in good health. But in the back of your head, it's like, well, both of my parents didn't even make it to this age. So it's like, you got to enjoy yourself.
It does become something that you think about, especially as you get older.
Yeah.
Especially when you're starting to have kids, because like you said, certain things that's in your, you know, your bloodline, your DNA, it passed to kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those are
Most of
things
my
that-
parents' issues were self-inflicted.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
sure.
That makes a lot of sense.
Lifestyle choices.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
Yeah.
Heavy on the lifestyle choice.
Pops,
But I got a lot of that in me too, as you guys know. Like, especially my dad. Like, I like a lot of the same things he liked.
Right.
A little bit more controlled and mature in my decision making, but definitely got a lot of that Rolling Stone. Let's just go enjoy ourselves.
It's like watching Shameless.
Oh yeah.
Remember when they started discovering that they was just like their parents? It
Yeah.
was like eye-opening, like, wow, like,
Yeah.
I got a lot of this.
Like a lot of the stuff that I hated about him, I love that. That's my favorite thing to do, like drinking and cooking,
Absolutely.
and having people over. We do it in a much more
Control, mature way.
right. We
Yeah,
not
for sure.
The police aren't coming to break up
We
fights.
don't have
and people
anything
going to
there
jail.
that the police will be
completely
questioning.
ginning. Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
We don't have none of those.
It could be worse
items.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I grew up in a very tumultuous environment.
Okay, SAT word.
Yeah, man, I'm getting ready.
Yeah. Don't ask me to spell
Getting
that.
ready.
That's gonna go bad. Say that word again.
Tumultuous.
Woo! Jesus.
You drop that on a date next weekend.
Hey. I
You
am
gonna fuck it up.
I'm gonna tell you that right now. I done figured out it already. Hey, but no, man, that's life, man. It's funny. It's funny how it is, though. It's definitely funny how. So, like you say, you just like your pops,
Yeah.
and you
A
know,
lot like them for sure.
oh man,
Y'all don't know my dad.
you know,
Gotta drop that off with on mess.
right? Do you feel
Like,
like
lighten the mood.
do you feel like you had to? Yeah, we all had, had a upbringings that wasn't the pleasant, But do you feel like at one point you had to forgive your father, like so you can not hold on to what had happened in your past? Because we can be like, man, I wish I was like this, but
Yeah, I
you
think
know what?
I
am
hated
who I
them when
am.
I was a kid. Like when I
Yeah.
was young, I hated them. I hated both of my parents as a kid because my mom left. This is gonna get real dark. PSA.
Yeah, I didn't mean to take it here. I'm sorry.
My
you
mom
guys.
left when I was like a little over 1, not long after I turned 1,
Yeah.
or it's like 1.5.
Okay.
And then I may have seen her 4 or 5 times my whole life, so I always had a resentment for that. So I, never really cared for her. And then my dad put me through a lot of bullshit too. He went to jail several
Right.
times, alcoholic. I resented a lot of stuff about him. Like I was in a fucked up environment and I held him responsible for that, which I should.
Right.
But at the same time, it took for me to grow up and mature and realize that I'm a lot more like him than I think I am. To be able to like kind of understand his situation, because his childhood was more fucked up than mine,
Right.
And that's why he became who he became. He didn't know how to cope and deal with the things that I learned to cope and deal with. So I kind of took that as like a blessing. Like I'm able to realize these circumstances aren't going to define me. I can, make something of myself. He kind of just let it weigh him down and turn him into an alcoholic
Right.
and all the things that were not so good about him. He had good qualities too, but he let that consume him, and I held it against him for a long time till I got older and realized it. And ironically, before he passed away, he came to visit me when we were living outside of DC. Like 2 weeks before he died, he came. We spent the whole weekend together. Probably the most fun I've ever had with him. We kind of felt like friends for like one of the first times
Right.
ever, and then
And
picked the bucket.
But that makes sense because yeah, we be mad at our parents, but we never sit back and be like, well, what was your childhood like?
Yeah.
And what was your
but you gotta
mom?
be-
What was your parents'
Right.
childhood like? Because this shit ain't nothing but a
It's a
repeated
cycle.
behavior
Yeah.
unless somebody change it. And until it's changed, shit will continue.
Yeah, you gotta be old enough to be able to understand that. When you 14,
I don't care nothing about none of
15,
that.
it's like fuck. Like you just
Yeah.
have an anger or like a negative feeling.
Because life is real.
Yeah.
For sure. And I realized that, like, my sister, after she went through what she went through and messed with prescription pills and stuff of that nature, she was like, she understood our mother's addiction and how
Yeah.
she blamed her when
Yeah.
she was younger. She understood some of the things and why she was doing what she was doing. And I look at it like, the time you was born, like my family, a lot of them was born in the 60s, so 80s they was 20 in prime,
Right.
and crack cocaine hit the streets.
man.
And it just was, it was a rough time, and a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't come from under that. So that's that impacted the community hugely.
Being able to think like that allows you to be able to forgive.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Because you have to. You know what I'm saying? Because while you stressing and you stand up at late nights and mad, the other people sleep. They're
Yeah.
chilling. They're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, but it's a different world though. So if I tell somebody like, imagine your whole life without neither one of your parents.
Right.
Most people can't even fathom what life would be like. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So it's like they able to just relax and not think about certain things because they didn't have to deal with certain things.
Right.
And there's no book on, hey, well, this is how you're going to deal with not having parents in your life. So it's like, it's something you got to deal with and cope with, like, for your whole life,
Right.
probably. Yeah.
And even for me, like, you know, when I used to, for like even my mom had me, you know, early. So it was grind mode. It wasn't more, it was loving, don't get me wrong, but it was more like, I got to take care of this kid and I'm still a kid at the same time. So yeah, I love you, but that gonna have to be placed on hold. I'm gonna make sure you safe. I'm gonna do the great mom thing, but I'm at work. So at second grade, first grade, third grade, go home, you get a key early.
Yeah.
So when these kids nowadays don't stay in the house by themselves when they teenagers, it's weird to me.
Right.
Because I've been staying in the house by myself for a long time, but I understand because it was because my mom had to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, you got kids that don't have to. You got kids that probably ain't never stayed in the house by themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
know what I'm saying?
I kind of wish I could go back and like talk to him and try to understand
Yeah.
why he thought it was okay to do some of the things that he decided to do. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably, like I said, his childhood was messed up. So in his mind, it's like, well, I went through this too or worse, so I think he'll be all right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, how do you think that this is the right way to raise a child, like in this environment? How do you
Right.
think that's okay?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just like disciplining your child. Like most people, parents think, okay, because I would discipline this way, I'm gonna discipline my child this way because I mean I turned out good.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna do the same thing. You know, and the same with us. Like we might view discipline a little differently now
Yeah.
compared to how we were raised, you know, growing up. So I think times has changed, but it does require somebody to step in and change the narrative of how things are going.
You gotta be the one, yeah.
You gotta
For
be
sure.
the one.
Yeah.
Definitely
I
gotta
agree
be
with
the
that
one.
100%.
Now that I have a son, it's becoming more and more real to me. Like when I was younger, before I had a child, I always told myself like, "Oh, I'm gonna make sure that he's good." But
Right.
now it's like, it's an indescribable feeling. Like,
Right.
it's like it means so much. Like, and then like any little thing that happens, it's like I got PTSD. So like the other day, like a week or so ago, the AC or the heat, I got a dual unit. Like there's an upstairs unit and a downstairs unit, and the heat went out. They had to come replace the HVAC system. But in my mind, it's like I'm waking up, there's no heat in the house. It makes me think about how I was with a kid. They didn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
And now it's like, my son is cold. Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Like that, it triggered something in me that just felt crazy.
Right.
Granted, shit happens. We got it replaced and fixed. But it just, there's like little traumas that
Right.
just
Yeah,
pop up when
still,
you got a
like,
kid
yeah.
that you don't think about.
Right.